defensive belt straight.
Commander Nicole Robichaud has served with the Royal Canadian Navy for 2 decades, but neither she nor any of her 65 crew members have ever seen anything like this.
Margaret Brooke went and poked our nose into the polar ice cap, just seeing the expanse of the Canadian Arctic. It was quite fantastic.
HMCS Margaret Brooke is part of a new fleet of Canadian icebreakers, tasked with patrolling Canada's Arctic, including the full length of the Northwest Passage.
So we went to the northern tip of Admon Rings Island.
Sailing to the edge of the map, the furthest north that any Canadian patrol ship has ever dared to venture.
We know where the land is by grace of satellite imagery, but what's under the water is still very mysterious in some places.
The melting Arctic ice is revealing a vast network of uncharted waters, and the crew finds themselves in a tight spot.
Low-lying rock, we can see it red 1-0.
The ship, about the size of a football field, is attempting to squeeze through this narrow passage, just 1 kilometer wide.
If the strait had been somewhere like Vancouver Harbor, we would know exactly how fast the water was moving in what time and what direction. Whereas up here, we might not have any idea if there's 100 meters or 500 meters or 1 meter of water. You don't want to hot dog your way through a transit like that without doing the research and having as much prior planning as you can.
So it's all hands on deck, teams double checking their trajectory, while others scan for icebergs. Even for this Arctic vessel, ice that's more than 1 meter thick could breach the hull.
Sea ice moves very rapidly. Winds and swells and seas really play a part in where that ice goes and where we could see it next.
The Arctic is warming more than twice as fast as the global average, opening up new shipping lanes and revealing a treasure trove of natural resources. And there are fears that if Canada doesn't assert its presence and ownership of this region, another country will.
Russia has been ramping up its military presence in the Arctic for years. Then in February, it invaded Ukraine.
Russia has gone from a competitor to an outright enemy, and the idea of an attack on North America has gone from fantasy to unlikely, but distinctly possible.
This Arctic security expert says if Russia were ever to attack North America, the shortest route would be from the North Pole. Canada's North Warning System, a chain of 47 radar sites from Alaska to Greenland, was built back during the Cold War to detect Soviet bombers. No match for Russia's high-tech arsenal of cruise and hypersonic missiles.
Which makes us very vulnerable because we really don't have the capabilities to be able to detect them, never mind intercept them.
There is a pressing need to modernize our continental defenses.
Last summer, Ottawa announced plans to build a new Arctic surveillance system over the next 20 years. Canada is also purchasing 15 new warships to work in tandem with its 6 icebreakers, including Margaret Brooke.
And so whether it's Russia or any other country, they need to know that this is Canadian territory and their armed forces will enforce that sovereignty on behalf of Canadians.
Margaret Brooke isn't built for combat, armed with just a single gun. But the crew believes their presence alone sends a message.
We are here to protect our northern waters.
Serving an important mission, to see and be seen. Jeff Semple, Global News, aboard HMCS Margaret Brooke.